welcome to Elemental Flow. This is going to be about an hour flow class. So before we get started, I want you to consider the idea of what earth element you feel most connected to. So we have earth, water, air, fire, and ether, which is kind of like space. And as you take this moment to just tap into what element you feel the most connected to, you might consider why you feel connected to that element. So maybe it's something that you really enjoy or appreciate, like for instance, fire brings warmth, or maybe you really like cleansing and warm water, and so the water element can be really refreshing and clearing. Maybe you're more connected to how the elements impact your astrology or your dosha, if that's something that you're in tune with. So as you take this moment to just center, come to your mat, take a seat, and really bring into your mind what earth element you feel most aligned with. Really start to visualize how that element shows up in your daily life or in the ways that you connect to nature. And once you have that element in your mind, we're going to go ahead and take a seat any way that's comfortable for you. So that could be on your knees, cross legs, allowing your spine to come up nice and tall, shoulders soft, hands on the knees or in the lap. And allow your eyes to soften or close. Starting to take some deep breaths in and out of your nose. Whatever space you're in, just inviting your attention and your awareness into this practice. Knowing that at any time, if you need to modify, change, take a break, you're welcome to do that. And as your arms get a little bit heavier to the earth, feel your spine get a little bit taller. Notice your chin tucked just slightly towards the chest. Soften through your hips and your knees. And allow the next 3 breaths that you have to exit out through your mouth. Really allowing them to lengthen nice and long on that exhale. Before we get started into our movement practice today, we are going to activate our Ujjayi breath. And so this is somewhat of a warming breath, so we can connect that to the element of fire, but it's not considered the breath of fire, as we would see in like a Kapalabhati breath. So Ujjayi, to activate this breath, go ahead and just take your hand, bring it in front of your mouth, and pretend that you're fogging a mirror. So notice that audible exhale that's through the throat, that constriction. And then do that same thing, but this time keep your lips closed. And so sometimes I notice that it's a little bit easier to do this breath on the exhale. But notice if you can try to make that same audible sound on the inhale as well. You might notice just a slight constriction in the back of the throat. So we're gonna activate this breath for the entire rest of our practice. So anytime I remind you to come back into your breath, reminding you to come back into that Ujjayi breath, you can just find that slight constriction and bring your awareness back into that breath. Meeting together, we're gonna start with our hands at the heart center, spine tall, soft gaze through the eyes. Big breath in, draw the arms up and around, let your gaze follow. And exhale, hands through the heart. 2 more times. Starting to feel that expansion. Notice how you're taking up space. Connecting to that ether element. Exhale through the heart, bringing that energy back down and into your heart center 1 more time. Nice and slow, just really tap into slow and controlled movement. Big breath at the top, exhale through heart center. We're gonna take that open arms up and around 1 more time. And this time as we exhale, we're gonna twist open to our right side. Left hand falls to your right knee and your right hand falls back behind you. Gaze over the right shoulder, twisting through the core. One more breath. Inhale, arms up through center. And exhale, open it up to the other side. Right hand comes to left knee, twist through the core, gaze over your left shoulder. Using your left arm like a second spine to hold you up. Equal weight between the hips. One more breath. Inhale, arms up through center. And fold it forward, palms to the mat, round the spine. Shin falls towards the chest. And walk the spine back up nice and tall, lengthen through the body. Now that we've expanded through a little bit of our top body, we'll go into the legs. So we'll extend our right leg out, left foot comes to that inner right thigh. Drawing your hands to meet at the heart center again. We're gonna inhale, arms up and around, just as we have been, but then turn to direct your heart center over that right leg and fold forward. You can bring the hands to your calf, ankle, shin, knee, wherever it's comfortable. On the breath in, find a little bit of length in your spine. And as you breathe out, see if you can pull the heart just a little bit closer to the knee. And just allowing a few breaths here. As you invite that tissue to start to open in that back body, gentle twist. And on your next exhale, go ahead and allow your spine to round and your head to completely fall towards that knee. Inhale to rise, draw the arms up. We're gonna allow the left hand to fall behind our left hip and just lengthen that right arm right next to your right ear. Big breath in. Exhale, windmill the hands back around, fold over your right leg. And inhale, draw the arms back up and around. We're gonna do this 2 more times. Follow your breath. Exhale to fold. Inhale to rise. Inhale, walk the spine up nice and tall. Hands can come to heart center. Inhale up and around. Arms reach towards the sky, fold forward, hands come to the mat. And allow the spine to round as you fold forward. Letting your head and neck hang heavy. Notice if you can inch those fingers forward just a little bit more, keeping equal weight within your sits bones. Notice where in the body you experience any sensation. And just allow yourself to witness that sensation. Walking the hands back in. We'll bring both of our feet together here into a butterfly, letting the knees fall out. You can explore how close or far you want your heels from the body, and that'll change the stretch just a little bit. So find the way in which you like that best. And as you're ready, clasp the fingers around the feet and start to pull yourself in. Maybe you even latch the elbows in front of the shins. Pull your heart towards your feet, round through the spine, and let your chin fall all the way to the chest. Activating back into your Ujjayi breath. Feel that constricted exhale, that audible exhale, and inhale. Even in these moments of stillness, allowing ourselves to ignite that element of warmth and fire through the breath. Straightening through the spine, allow yourself to come back up. Well, this time extend the left leg out, right foot comes to that inner left thigh. Hands meet at the heart, big breath in, arms up and around. And then turn to direct your heart over that left leg and fold it forward. Hands come to rest wherever is comfortable. Find length in the spine as you breathe in, and as you exhale, pull the heart forward. Take a few breaths here to allow the tissues to start to find expansion and space. And on your next exhale, round the spine. Let the head fall. Begin to inhale and straighten the spine, arms come up, right hand falls behind the right hip, left arm comes next to the left ear. As you reach the fingers back behind you, Take up space, notice your breath. Big breath in, exhale, fold it over. Round through the spine over that left leg. Inhale, find expansion. Exhale to fold, just follow your own breath. One more time. Inhale, straighten the spine, hands come to the heart space. One more time, arms up and around, and hands come in front of you as you fold it slightly forward. Just go to that point where it's comfortable for you, where you notice a little bit of sensation, but always honoring your body's boundaries. You can start to play with inching the hands closer to the body or further from the body. So you can start to identify what your own body's edge or boundary is. Start to walk the hands back in, straighten the spine. Both soles of the feet, this time come to the mat, knees bent, hands come next to your sides. Just allow a gentle tick-tock side to side. Keeping this nice and slow, nice and fluid, kind of like the element of water. Just noticing as it shifts side to side. And then finding your center, take a couple circles through each ankle, go both directions. And we're gonna meet together in tabletop, hands and knees, so you can get there however is most comfortable for you. Shoulders over the wrists, hips over the knees, toes untucked on the mat behind you. Gaze in between those hands. And activate that Ujjayi breath. You start to find that breath. We'll find a little bit of gentle movement. Just first start allowing the hips to come side to side. Maybe allowing yourself to roll through the shoulders. Maybe it's taking circles through the hips. Coming forward and then back. And finding neutral tabletop here. As you breathe in, we'll allow the belly to drop as the gaze lifts. Looking forward, pushing into those palms, keeping the ears up and away from the shoulders. And as you exhale, round the spine, let the ears fall between the arms. Shake out the head and no. And start to find some movement here, moving with your breath. Inhale, belly drops, gaze lifts. And exhale, spine rounds, ears come between the arms. And feel free to add in any extra movement here. If you notice that moving side to side as you work through these options feels nice, you can take those. If holding one option for a breath or two feels good. Allow yourself to find that stillness. 2 more breaths here. Meeting in a neutral spine. Knees come mat width distance as we sink our hips back to the heels, forehead to the mat, arms extend overhead. Allowing 3 open mouth exhales here. And then coming back into that Ujjayi breath. Notice if you can inch your fingers forward a little bit or sink your hips closer to your heels. Tapping into our earth element, grounding, feeling this connection. Allowing your head to rock a little bit side to side. And thinking the hips back up over the knees, drawing those knees back in. We're going to tuck our toes, lifting our hips as we make our way into our first downward dog here today. Take a couple of breaths here to just pedal out your heels, bending into your knees, keeping the feet hip distance apart, letting your head and neck shake out, fingers spread wide, lifting up onto your tiptoes and then sinking back into the heels. Maybe exploring how close or far you feel most comfortable here in the shape. Inhale, your right leg lifts up. We're gonna step that right foot forward to the top of the mat and allow your left knee to drop down, untucking that toe. Hands are framing this front foot. Gaze at the top of the mat. Take a couple of breaths here. Just notice how your body responds to these subtle shifts in how we have our body shaped. Rooting that left hand down into the mat. You can draw the right fingers up towards the sky. Twisting open here. Engage that Ujjayi breath. Notice your balance, equal weight between the bottom of the right foot and that left knee and top of the left toes. Big inhale. Exhale, draw that right hand back down to frame your right foot. We're going to extend the right leg as we send the hips back. Micro bend here in the right knee. Make sure your right foot is coming out nice and straight from your hip. And you can find a little bit of movement, lifting or lowering the toes. Finding a little bit of stillness here on palms or maybe making fists with your thumbs out. Allow the spine to round as your nose falls towards the knee. Softening through your jaw. And always allowing an open mouth exhale if the body feels called to release any pressure or heat. Big breath in, let the gaze come forward, bend back into that right knee. We're gonna bring our hands up to our heart space, gaze forward. Engaging that Ujjayi breath, that warmth, that heat in the body. Grounding to the earth beneath your feet. Big inhale together. And we'll twist to the right side, hinging the left elbow on the right knee. Hands together at the heart space, gaze out to the right side of your mat. Option to keep your hands together, or you could explore opening them. Hands to the heart. Come back to frame that right foot. We're going to tuck the toes under, lift that left knee. Left hand comes back to the mat. Inhale, right fingers up to the sky. Notice where your body connects to the earth and that earth element. Where in the body are you grounded right now? Exhale, hands down to the mat, frame the foot. Step that right foot back, lift it back up into the sky. Take a couple circles through that ankle. We're gonna stack the hip open as we bend into that right knee. Sink into your left heel, keep your gaze down at the mat. And just start to find some movement through that right knee. Taking some circles here through that right hip. Let this be organic to you and your body. Straightening that right leg, drop it back down. Downward facing dog, pedal it out. Take a couple breaths here. And left foot lifts, breathing in. We're gonna step that left foot forward, top of the mat. Lower that right knee down, untuck the right toes. Hands are framing the left foot. Knee is stacked over the ankle, gaze to the top of the mat. Find your breath here again. Taking things nice and slow enough. We can always anchor back into our breath. Anchoring into our breath, anchoring into the earth, letting those two elements stabilize, equalize. And then right hand comes down to the earth. Inhale, left fingers to the sky, twist it open. Ujjayi breath. Big inhale. Exhale, hand comes down to frame your left foot. Sending your hips back, we'll straighten into that left leg with a slight micro bend in the knee. Hands are on the mat, or you can make little fists. You can use blocks here if you'd like. Lifting and lowering your toes. Exploring some movement. And then finding stillness around the spine, head falls towards the knee. Inhale, lift the gaze. Bend back into your left knee. Hands come up to the heart space as we straighten the spine. Find your balance. Notice where you're anchored to the earth. Big inhale together. Exhale, we're gonna twist. Right elbow hinges on that left knee. Hands at heart center, gaze to the left side of your mat. Option to keep hands together or explore opening your wingspan. Tapping into that air element, allowing yourself to fly, to explore, to find space. Hands come back to the heart. Hands frame that left foot. We'll tuck the left or the right toes under, lifting that right knee. Right hand or fist comes down to the mat. Inhale, left fingers to the sky. Anchor your breath, Ujjayi. Next exhale, hand comes down to frame your left foot. Step that left foot back, lift it up into the air, take some circles through that ankle. Stacking the hips as you bend into the left knee. Gaze down between your hands, sink into your right heel, and explore a little bit of movement through that knee and hip. Straightening the left leg, drawing it back down to meet the right. Dropping the knees nice and wide, mat width distance. Let's take a rest here, grounding back into the earth. Child's pose, forehead to the mat, hips to the heels. Arms extended, open mouth exhales. Noticing how the breath helps to cool the body. Just like when we're starting to create a fire, sometimes we need that oxygen. We need to blow on the fire to make it get a little bit bigger. But if we are in excess with air, we can also create a little bit of an uncontrolled fire. So it's noticing how much breath we need to keep that inner fire going and to keep that fire controlled. When our breath starts to become erratic, we begin to lose that heat in the body. Coming back through a tabletop, tucking the toes under into a downward facing dog. Just transitioning here as the gaze comes between the hands, we're gonna slowly walk the feet up to our hands at the top of the mat, finding a forward fold. Feet parallel together, micro bend in your knees. Arms hang here, or maybe you even hug your legs in a little bit. Notice if you want to find some movement, maybe shifting between each foot, bending between each knee. Open mouth exhales to help us release any pressure, to help us find a little bit more space in the body. Maybe grabbing alternate elbows as you find that movement and that sway. And one vertebrae at a time, allow yourself to find yourself nice and tall at the top of the mat, coming into mountain, anchoring into the bottoms of your feet here as you hold yourself strong and steady. Maybe rolling through the shoulders up and down. Letting the palms come to face forward at the top of your mat. Soften or close the eyes. And allow yourself to just wiggle your toes. Feel all the points of your feet by finding a little bit of movement, just shifting yourself forward and back or side to side, very gently, as you just notice all these little cells that are doing their job to hold you up on your feet. Drawing your hands to the heart space. As we breathe in, we'll find that expansion through the arms up and around. And as we exhale, we'll draw the hands through the heart, and this time we'll pull that energy even further down as we fold it forward, allowing the arms to hang and dangle here. We're gonna step our right foot back, bending into the left knee. As we come into a crescent lunge, hands will come to the heart. Front knee stacks over the ankle. Back heel is lifted. All of our toes point towards the top of our mat. Finding that balance. Now that we're standing, we're tapping a little bit more into that air element. Exploring our body in a space a little bit higher off the ground. We'll pivot our right foot parallel to the back edge of the mat. We're coming into a warrior two. We want to make sure that when we look down, our front heel, if we were to bring our feet together, would fit so nicely into the arch of our back foot. So nice and in line. Arms come to a T, right fingers towards the back, left fingers towards the front. Bend into that front knee. And when you look down, you want to make sure we can see your big toe. So if you notice your knee is wanting to pull in, just straighten the knee over the tops of your toes. Gaze forward at the top of your mat. Warrior two could be considered connecting to that fire element, finding our strength. How can you use your breath here to help you stay strong, to tend to that fire inside? We're going to reverse this warrior as the right hands fall down to that back leg, left hands come up to frame the ear. And exhale, windmill the hands down and around to frame your knee, or I'm sorry, your foot. Finding that high lunge. Right hands drop down to the mat, inhale, left fingers up. Explore that twist. Hands come back down, step it forward, forward fold. Take a couple big deep breaths here. And this time we're gonna step the right foot back, coming into a crescent lunge on this side. Hands come to the heart space as you rise the upper body. Bend in that front knee, back heel is lifted. All the toes point towards the top of your mat, shoulders soft. Gaze forward. Use the breath to anchor the fire, to tend to the air, to hold the energy within your body so you can stay grounded to the earth, and to feel expansive, taking up space with each inhale as your breath explores that ether element. Warrior two on this side, left foot turns parallel to the back edge of your mat. Line yourself up, front knee at a bend, arms extend like a T, gaze over the front fingers. Check in that your arms are nice and level. You can turn your palms to face up to help soften those shoulders and allow just the wrists to turn back around. Find your strength. Ujjayi breath. Reverse that warrior, left hand comes up. Exhale, windmill it back down, frame that front foot. Find a high lunge. Left hand roots, right fingers come to the sky. Right hand back down to frame the foot. Left foot steps forward, forward fold. Couple big deep exhales. Inhale to rise. Arms come up and around. Hands through the heart as you exhale. Mountain pose here. Take a few breaths. Feel your strength. Going slow enough here today that we can really tap into how the movement affects the breath. How long it takes for our breath to come back into equilibrium with the body and the movement. Take a couple open mouth exhales. Let some of that heat out. From standing here, we're going to root into our left foot. And we're going to bend into our right knee, 90 degrees in that knee. Hands are going to come to the heart, so notice this balance. Option to always move next to a wall if that's helpful. We're going to cross this right ankle over the left knee. So we're coming into a standing figure four option. You're welcome to stay right here. If it feels comfortable to go a little bit deeper, we can start to sink into our hips. Keep your gaze steady and forward. Anytime we're working on balance, It can be really helpful to anchor your gaze to something that's not moving in front of you. I oftentimes refer to this as an anchor in yoga. The Sanskrit word for this is drishti. Find your drishti. Find your ujjayi breath. We call the ujjayi breath the ocean breath. So the breath creates a little bit of warmth in the body, but the sound that it makes sounds kind of like an ocean wave. The elements of fire and water. Water cools down fire, can also put fire out. Inhale, rise back up, uncross that right leg. We're gonna keep it lifted, we're gonna send it back, right hand is gonna capture that that right foot. Left hand is gonna come forward towards the top of the mat. Knees can stay together here. If you want to go a little bit further, we can start to lift that right knee. Reach those left fingers forward a little bit more. Right foot pushes into the hand as the hand pulls against the foot. So we're creating an energy lock in the body. Really ground into that left arch of the foot. Drawing the knees back together, dropping that right foot back down to meet the left. Walk it out, shake it out. Move through the hips. Take a moment to just allow the arms to twirl side to side. Recalibrate the spine. And then meet in mountain center. This time we're going to bring awareness into rooting our right foot. Hands to the heart. Left knee comes to 90-degree bend. Really flex that foot. Find your balance here. Cross that left foot over the right knee. Option to stay right here. Or sink into those hips. Keeping that foot flexed. Noticing the sensation and exploring what you're feeling in the body. You're observing any imbalance, maybe kind of noticing that the body is wanting to float around. Tapping into that element of air and just observing that. How do we ground from wind is to tap into earth. So bring awareness into the points of anchor that your body is touching the earth. Inhale to rise. Keep that left leg lifted. We're going to send it back. Left hand comes to take the top of that left foot. Coming into our dancer option on this side. Right fingers extend forward. You're welcome to stay right here, knees together. And really allow yourself to witness, is the balance on the side different than the other side? So as we tapped into that element that you connected with at the beginning of class, allow yourself to notice and witness how those elements are taking place, not only within your body, as we find movement, but side to side. Maybe the element of air is a little bit more windy on one side. Sink into this, however's comfortable for you. Lifting that left knee up, reaching forward if it's available. Anchor your drishti. Find that ujjayi breath. The breath and the gaze are anchors for these moments where maybe the body experiences just a little bit of discomfort. Bring the knees back together, release the left foot. Left foot meets the mat, shake it out, twirl it out. Couple big deep breaths out through the mouth. Hands to the heart. Inhale to rise, arms up and around. Fold it forward all the way down. Shake it out, bend through the knees, move through the hips. Shake out the head and neck. Inhale to rise, push into those feet. Arms come up and around one more time. Hands to the heart space. Mountain pose. We're gonna bring ourselves down to a seat. So you can get there however is most comfortable for you. Meeting once again here in a butterfly, soles of feet together, knees fall out. We can interclasp the hands around the toes. And just explore how this feels now versus at the beginning of class, maybe hinging those elbows to the front of the shins. Open mouth exhales to release anything. Spine comes up nice and tall. We're gonna straighten the left leg, right foot is gonna come to the inside of that left thigh. And we're gonna bring the right knee up, so go ahead and just ground that foot. And we're gonna want about a fist distance here between your left extended leg and your bent right knee. Hands come to the heart space. Inhale to rise up and around. We're gonna twist open towards the right side. Left elbow's gonna hinge on that right knee. Right hand is behind you like a second spine. Left arm can be bent or straight and gaze over the right shoulder. Inhale to rise, arms come up overhead. We're gonna counter that twist, both hands to the left side of your mat. Inhale back to center. Both soles of feet, this time we're gonna bend and meet together. Hands come behind the knees. Start to just shift the body back until you find this landing pad in your sit bones that feels good. And we're going to slowly begin to lift up one leg and then the other, and then maybe both. We want to keep our shoulders down, our heart forward, our back nice and long. And release both feet back to the mat. This time, right leg extends. Left foot is going to bend in just a little bit more. Fist width distance between that leg. Hands to the heart. Inhale up and around. This time, twist it open to the left. Right hand falls back. Right elbow twists to that left knee. Gaze over the left shoulder. Right arm can be straight or bent. Inhale to rise, arms up. Counter that twist, both hands to the right side of your mat. And untwisting back through center. We're gonna meet with both feet at a bend, feet together. Sink back. Find that space where you feel supported underneath your hips. Begin by lifting one and then maybe both feet back up. Option here to explore moving the arms out. Ujjayi breath. Anchor that energy. Tend to your inner fire. And release back down to the earth. We're going to take the right hand, it's going to take our left ankle. We're going to pull this through to the right hip. And we're going to step the right leg over the left. Give yourself a little hug here. Maybe even allow the spine to round, the head falls towards that knee. Lifting the spine, untwisting that leg. Both soles of feet together. Shake it out. Left hand takes the right heel, bring it back to your left hip. Left foot crosses over that right knee. Hug it in. Straightening the spine, uncrossing the legs, soles of feet together. Take a few tick-tocks side to side. Crossing into both legs. We'll meet with our hands at the heart space. Inhale, open nice and long, creating a T with your body. We're going to cross the right over the left first. We can start by just coming into a hug of our shoulders. And if you'd like to explore eagle arms, you can begin to, with those elbows stacked one on the other, begin to just draw your fingers up towards the sky. Let the palms come to face each other. Inhale, big breath in, find length in the spine. Inhale, open up, uncross the arms, and this time left over right. Start with giving yourself a hug. Honor each side as its own. Maybe you take one option on one side and not the next. And explore those eagle arms if you'd like. Fingers come towards the sky, palms come to face each other. Inhale, open, arms come back, nice and long. Bring those palms together up overhead. And fold it forward, palms meet the mat, back round. Straightening the spine, walk it up. We're gonna meet on our backs, getting there comfortably for yourself. Lifting up your heart space, allow your shoulders to draw together. Keeping the knees at a bend about hip distance apart. Gaze stays up to the sky. We're gonna come into a bridge option. So both hands, palms down, come next to your sides. As you inhale, we're gonna push into the feet, lifting the hips up. Let your heart come toward your chin. Gaze stays up at the sky. Imagine there's a block between your knees. Keep those knees nice and aligned with your hip bones. Coming up onto your tiptoes. Starting to lower down onto your spine. Once the base of your spine touches the mat, you can bring those hip bones back or those heels back down. And then hug both knees into your chest. Find a little bit of movement as you rock side to side. And then one more time, soles of feet meet the mat. Palms down next to your sides. Inhale, push into the feet, lift the hips. Really lift that heart space up to the chin. Use the breath here to keep yourself engaged. Lifting the tiptoes. Releasing the spine back to the mat. Heels follow. And this time, gentle tick-tock side to side. Allow your soles of feet to widen up to the mat width distance and allow the knees to fall in. Hands come to rest on the belly. Soften or close the gaze. Notice how more of your body is now coming back down to that earth element. I need a little bit more grounding. And then with those feet mat width distance, go ahead and find some gentle tick-tocks again here. Five breaths. If there is any final movement that you would like to explore before we come into our rest. Maybe hugging your knees in, straightening them to the sky, taking a happy baby, or maybe a reclined butterfly, soles and feet together, knees out. We talked a little bit about how water and fire connect, and fire and air, air and earth, and all the space in between our ether. And so as you connected to your element at the beginning of class, try to identify what is the opposite of that element. What is an element that may exacerbate or diminish that element? For instance, I connect to the element of fire. I personally really love fire, but it's also my astrological sign is fire. And so air, as much as we need air to have fire and oxygen to create that fire, too much air can create a wildfire. And just as much as I love water because it cools me down, it cools that fire element down, water can also put fire out completely. So if fire is my anchor, my drishti, the element I connect with the most, what are the elements that exacerbate or diminish? Allow yourself to find your final rest. Straightening the legs. Settling into this final grounding pose. Head, shoulders, hips and heels anchor to the earth. Soften through your face, through your fingers. It's important that even if we identify with one element as our preference or one that we kind of connect with the most, it's important to understand the polarities and the other elements that maybe play into the functionality of our chosen element. Taking a very deep breath, letting it go out through the mouth. And again. Finding gentle movement in your hands and toes, wrists and ankles. Full body stretch, reach those arms up overhead. Find that length, that space. And roll to one side when you're ready. Using your arm as a pillow, bending into your knees. Bringing yourself to a seat. Option to meet with your hands at the heart. Taking this time to give gratitude for taking the time to make it to your mat today. Gratitude for the awareness that we have as to what element we feel most connected to. Gratitude to nature for presenting these elements to us. And the ability to witness how we can balance our mind and our bodies by understanding these elements just a little bit more. Thank you so much for sharing your practice with me today. Namaste.